And I think we are live. Yes. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Thought for Thursday, a segment of Leveling Up the podcast. I'm so happy to have you here with me today. So, what is it that we should do when we hit a crossroads of sorts? What should we do when we get to a place in life when we hit an intersection and we need to make a decision about the direction we're going in, about when we're going, how we're going to proceed? Yeah, so we all hit those intersections, right? And I know that I gave us a teaser about this earlier today to let you know we would be talking about this on leveling up today, and I want to make sure that you know what to do when you see those signs. It's the basics of your driver's lesson, isn't it? It's some of the basic things that you learn. You have to take a test before you even get out on the road, making sure that you know how to navigate the signs, that you know what the signs say, that you know what to do when you get to an intersection, when you get to a four-way stop. Well, life is much like that, isn't it? It's very important for us to know what to do, how to do it, what to use to our advantage, and when it is that the signs are telling us something very specific about what we need to do, how to proceed, when we should stop, when we should go. All very important things in our lives, right? So, the first thing we're going to do when we hit the intersection is we're going to read the sign. What is the sign telling us? Recognize that it is there for a reason. It's there because number one, it's an intersection and everybody can't move at the same time because that's not safe. It's important sometimes for you to let someone else go and for you to stay behind to ensure that you are moving in the right timing, at the right speed, at the right pace, at the right time, so that you're not causing damage to yourself or damage to anyone else. So it's very important for us to be able to know, number one, that we have to read the signs and find out exactly what that sign is trying to tell us. So we're reading the signs. What does it mean when the sign says stop? We've hit the intersection in the road and we've slowed down because we see the stop sign. It's big, it's red. We know what it means. It was probably one of the very first things we learned when we went to driver's ed, right? It was very important for us to understand what the stop meant. And the stop didn't mean to slow down, the stop meant to come to a complete stop. I don't know if anyone has had the experience where they haven't come to a complete stop and they get pulled over by the police because the rules say that you have to come to a complete stop. And if you don't, well, yeah, you could cause some damage to yourself or to someone else. It's not the healthiest of ways to navigate traffic, is it? So when your sign says stop, when it's pertaining to your life, what should you do? Sometimes a stop sign tells us, first of all, to reflect. Take stock of exactly where you are and what's brought you to this point. Reflect on your values. We talk about that a lot. Reflect on your goals. Reflect on your passions. All of that is important when you reach a place where you're kind of halted in the road. Sometimes the stop will tell us it's time for you to rest. Definitely rest. I just said that you have to come to a complete stop, right? Well, somewhere in there, there's a rest period before you can actually pull off. Use that time to rejuvenate, to refresh. I talk about doing that a lot on the weekends because sometimes the weekends are the only times that we have where we can actually make priority our time, our downtime, and the time that is needed to really pull ourselves together and do self care for ourselves. Stop signs may tell us we may need to reassess things. What changes may need to be made in life? Is there something that's not serving you well? Is there an interaction, a relationship, a job, an extracurricular activity, how you're treating yourself, how you are as far as your health is concerned? Are these things treating you well? Maybe it's time to kind of take an assessment and figure out if things need to look different. All right, so the stop sign is one thing. Another thing that we may see when we hit the intersection is yield. And that yield sign, usually yellow, is telling us proceed with caution. We need to give the same instruction to ourselves when we hit that yield sign in life, don't we? Proceed with caution. Maybe we don't want to be so haughty in taking action on a major decision that we need to make. Maybe we need to slow down and kind of assess things. What's going on around us? It might mean that we need to make a clear plan for how we want to proceed in life. Now, when you hit that yield sign, frequently you may want to perhaps get the opinion or get advice, get direction from others. But remember, it is strictly up to you before you can proceed. Remember a time when I had an accident as a teenager. I yielded to some oncoming traffic and really couldn't see what was coming in the other direction. And I allowed the passenger in the front seat with me to tell me when it was all clear. Well, guess what? She missed something and it wasn't all clear. And I pulled out, and yeah, I caused that accident. Same in life. Remember, you are the one who has to make that decision when you come up to that yield. So you may want to hear from others, all right? But it is absolutely your decision as to when you actually move once you've gotten to that yield sign. So we've talked about stop, we've talked about yield. What about just something that may simply tell us you need to proceed with caution? It's not necessarily, saying yield, but it's warning you that the road ahead may not totally be clear. And because of that, you want to proceed with caution. So, what might that look like if we're applying that to real life? Well, that means we got to make a clear plan. We don't know what may be ahead. Planning kind of helps to take out some of the guesswork in things. We know that we've planned for this and we've set ourselves up for this and we're going to move in this direction. Well, definitely that's going to put us a little further in the game than it would if we were proceeding with caution and not really knowing what we're being cautious about, or maybe not even really being cautious, but going forward. Something else you need to do when you're proceeding with caution. It often means a slowdown. Yield meant to definitely yield and look around you and see what else is happening in what's going on, right? Proceeding with caution may mean you're going to have a little patience in what it is that you do. That means you're going to have to be a little more attentive. That means that things may not be as clear as you want them to be. And for that reason, you need to make sure that you're approaching things very carefully, making sure that you're taking stock of exactly what you're seeing each and every step of the way, so that you will make sure that if you need to slow down, if you need to speed up, if you need to stop, that you're prepared to do so because you're being cautious and you understand that these are the things that you may have to actually take into account. So we've talked about the stop sign. We've talked about the importance of reading signs. We've talked about the importance of yielding. We just talked about how it's very imperative that if you see something that says proceed with caution, you do just that. Make sure you're aware of what's coming at you, and perhaps exercise a little patience before you start moving forward so that you can make sure that you're not getting into any surprises that may be heading or waiting for you down the road. What else? You may hit a point in life where the sign or where the intersection is dictating doesn't necessarily have a sign at all, but it's telling you you better yield, perhaps proceed with caution, perhaps stop. Because why? You've reached a roundabout. And in that roundabout, yeah, there's still rules that you need to follow. You need to make sure that you're adhering to them. But a roundabout may tell you something like, okay, you need to explore more. Take the time to explore your options at the roundabout. Is the other car on the other side, directly opposite from you? Is that car getting ready to pull out? You have three or four different directions you can go once you hit a roundabout. Well, three different directions other than the one you're at. Do you want to take the first right? Do you want to take the second right? Do you want to take the third right? Do you want to proceed around the circle again and perhaps go back in the direction in which you've just come? There are all kinds of things. It may mean that the direction that you were heading in, all right, may not be the direction that you're supposed to continue in. It might mean that you need to do a roundabout and go a different way. That could involve consulting with someone. That may mean you need to get that advice that we talked about earlier. Seek expert advice, seek counsel from someone else who is trying to navigate the same path or a similar path in which you're trying to navigate. Yeah, a roundabout can be a very tricky place, but it's also a place that really does provide you perhaps with maybe the most options that you'll see when you hit an intersection. You'll need to decide whether you're going to choose that first or that second exit. What's most important is you need to make sure that you're choosing the exit that feels right for you. Trust that each experience that you have is probably going to give you different results. But what's most important about your experiences is that each one is going to help to build, is going to help to strengthen, is going to help to provide further direction for the journey in which you are traveling. So, we've talked about several different things, a number of things. The most common things, probably all of the things that you're going to see in an intersection: the stop sign, the yield sign. Perhaps you're going to see something that says proceed with caution, and then you're going to hit that roundabout. So, yeah, what do you do at the intersection depends on the sign that you see. Stop. Definitely take the time to really reassess things. Yield. That means slow down. There's some things that you need to consider. Perhaps you need to wait a little longer at that intersection. Proceed with caution. Be prepared because there could be some unexpected things waiting for you coming down the road. Or I think when I see signs like proceed with caution, I frequently in my neighborhood also see another sign that may say deer crossing right up above that. Children in this neighborhood, children playing, school crossing, any number of things that may cause you to proceed with caution. Yeah, well, life will deal with you the same way. Any number of things could cause you to have to make sure that you're prepared for any surprises that could come along the way, the unexpected things. And then that roundabout. Frequently, it's the place where you get the most options. Which direction are you going to go? Whichever direction you choose, you want to make sure it's the one that's best for you, that's going to be the right one, that's going to help you to get to where you really want to be. And don't fret if you end up taking that wrong exit off the roundabout, because you can come right back to the intersection, get back in that roundabout, and perhaps take that third exit instead of the second one that was wrong for you. I distinctly recall many times actually when I've hit a roundabout and I've had to go all the way around the circle and go back to where I've started. And it's okay because you know what? When you come back to that intersection, you know exactly without a shadow of a doubt which direction it is that you're heading in. So when life's intersections come up and you have to decide what you're going to do when you hit them, make sure that you're reading the signs, make sure that you understand what the signs mean, and that you proceed as the signs direct you. Thanks so much for listening in tonight. I greatly appreciate it. Remember, we'll be back here next Thursday again. 15 minutes on Thought for Thursday. 15 minutes, and we'll definitely give you at least 3 to 5 tips that are going to help you to navigate your journey and make it all the better and make it more purpose filled. Have a great evening. Remember, go out and be yourself. Be boldly, audaciously you. Be confident in who you are, knowing that you are just enough, right where you are, just as you are. Go out and touch something, make a difference. Your imprint is so needed in a world that needs change. Go out and change something, make it better for you, make it better for others. Have a great one.